Steve Spiro, you're a mentor, you're a consultant, you're a business owner, but most importantly, you're a host of your own show and you're also a master connector.
Steve Spiro is one of my idols, and I love listening to everything that he does. He's such a dynamic individual.
Some of the topics I really enjoy speaking on is how to really connect, whether it be in person or through social media. I love to lead with my weaknesses. I lead with, my vulnerabilities. It's fine because I'm okay with who I am. Number 2 is how to go from being inward focused, self-focused, into others focused. Being willing to give and go out there and look to serve. That will attract the right things. Another one is on leveraging LinkedIn to really grow your business. You could reach a lot more people. You could broadcast a message to people that actually consented to want to know you. And then lastly, overcoming big obstacles. I love sharing. I was a shy, introverted kid, picked on, bullied, learning disabled, dyslexic, really in a dark place. I was really in a box, Michelle, and I've been able to break out of that box. And so I love being able to inspire people and really help them. So the Master Connector was born. The world is my networking event, right? I meet people all the time. My goal is to meet 3 strangers every single day.
Steve is open to meeting you. You should set up a face-to-face with Steve. One little conversation can really change your life.
Watch this Wednesday.
Hit the bell on LinkedIn so you never miss an episode.
The beauty of a live show is you get to interact with us. We get to interact with you. Bring your questions so that we can help you level up.
That's right. We're going to help you level up. Steve, I'm really excited about today's show. We got a lot to talk about here. I know that for folks that tried to tune in last week, we still have our video and post-production. We're going to send that out with some great tools for you. And speaking of tools, we have a workshop coming up on June 7th and 8th. June 7th and 8th, mark your calendar. We're going to do an online workshop to help people really get over some of the obstacles that we're talking about today, level up your LinkedIn, help you network better, have a lot of fun. We're learning from folks like Jordan Mendoza and Wes. Wes has salesconnector.com and just amazing tools to level you up, make your life easier in terms of your campaigns and what you're trying to do on LinkedIn and beyond. Alexandria, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for rocking with us. If you are watching right now, make sure you're getting into the comments. These live shows, we love doing these live shows because you make this more powerful. Your questions, what challenges that you're going through that we can specifically talk to. This is the value of the show. You get to talk to us live. You get to network with people in the comments. So don't be afraid. Get in there. Let us know where you're viewing from. Alexandria's tuning in from Ohio. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Steve, with today's show, I want to jump right into the heart of the matter. People are dealing with things like job loss. The crisis is going on, whether it's in their own lives, they're looking at the news in Ukraine and feeling just heartbroken about different things in the world. I know when I think about children in poverty, women not having access to education, challenges in the Middle East, challenges all over the world, challenges within our own country. You talk about, police stuff, crisis stuff can really affect your mental place. Talking about all the different things that, not enough money, not enough time. What do we want to tell people, in terms of equipping themselves to sort of be ready for this stuff? And I want to shout out before you jump in here, Steve, Oscar Capel checking in from New York. We got Miss Lane Boss. Thanks for being in the show. And if you're checking into the show for the first time, put in there first time. We'll reach out to you. Make sure you get in a call with Steve if you haven't been on a call before. One call, like you saw in the intro video, can change your life. Definitely changed mine. Stephanie Zapata checking in from Cornwall and Hudson. Thank you for rocking with us. Keep getting into the comments. I'll shout you out later, Steve. Let's get it going.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Cameron, for being the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain here, doing all the magic you do. Appreciate you, sir. It's going to be a great episode, great show. We're going to keep it to 30 minutes, so stay tuned. Hopefully you're on your lunch break or you're getting some time off from work, and we're gonna rock that half hour for you. So we're excited about this, and So, as you said, Cameron, there's been a lot of stuff that have happened recently, whether it be COVID, which has created health challenges and job losses and displacements and things of that nature. I mean, I go back in my life pre-COVID, and I had this stuff bullied and picked on, and all the things that I dealt with in my life. And yeah, I mean, I had an incredibly high earning, high profile advertising career, and economy shifted. Boom, I was out of work, and what that was like, and health challenges. I actually experienced my wife and I had a horrible case of COVID, and all the things that created. Right, that was about 3 weeks of hell. Okay, I'm sorry to use that H word, but yeah, it was hell. It really was. And so we're all dealing with challenges, but how do you overcome them? How do you get through those obstacles, right? Whether it be you get over them, get around them, or get through them. And so I'm just going to jump into some content here. I know and Cameron's going to jump in. You have permission anytime to interrupt me, which you tend to do anyway. So it's all right. But that's what makes us a great duo, right? Because we've got great synergy, and pretty much I think I could start a sentence and Cameron finish it, and vice versa, right? But the first one, not to get religious or spiritual on anyone, but really, honestly, one thing that I found has really been valuable for me is the power of prayer, right? And I know a lot of us are praying for the Ukraine, and I've got family members that are dealing with some stuff, health stuff, right? So being prayerful, right, and giving it up to a higher power, whatever you believe, and if you believe in Barney Rubble as your higher power, right, from the Flintstones, that's fine too, right? Whatever. Hopefully, you have a higher power that you believe in, and you could kind of give it up to prayer, and that will continue to strengthen and equip you. The next thing is, in no particular order, is seek mentorship. Look for somebody that has been there, done that has experience. They have the fruit on the tree. I mean, that's been a game changer in my life in terms of finding somebody who has the kind of lifestyle, the kind of experience, and be able to really, get advice, and not just advice, get mentorship, right? So thank you for calling that out there. And and then, the other area that you could do to strengthen yourself and equip yourself is through books. We're going to touch on some books today, but I mean, reading every day. In my case, listening to Audible every day because I'm learning disabled dyslexic. But just being able to kind of continue to pour good into you, right? Podcasts, listening to audios, right? The brain by nature is negative, straight up. It is. And the way it was described to me is you're if you could imagine, we're like an SUV sitting on a hill parked. And unless you apply pressure, in other words, the handbrake, the car, the SUV will roll backwards. That's how our brain works. We tend to go negative. And so you apply pressure or you apply something to it. In this case, it's putting in good, right? So by default, if you don't put something in your brain, you're always going to think negative. So put good stuff in. I have audios going all the time for me, good things that are going into my brain. Another thing is association, the power of association. Who do you surround yourself with is so crucial. Right. Where we are in life, I've heard it said, is based upon the books we read and the people we associate with. So make sure you're with a group of people that you're surrounding yourself with that are in that are let's say it like this. Look at where they are, and I heard this said, I forget who said it, but look at their average net worth, right, and average it out. And if that's where you want to be, that's the right place, right? If you're looking to grow. Now, it doesn't have to be about financial, but again, the power of association is very crucial. Who are you surrounding yourself with day to day, right?
Let me throw an exclamation point there, if I could pronounce that word.
There you go.
The idea that it's not just wealth, right? The idea that if you got people that are speaking negatively around you, right? Because the garbage in, garbage out kind of thing.
Yeah.
You said that a lot before, and I feel it, right? I don't care if it's food, it's mental thoughts, right? Garbage in, garbage out, and that's such a big deal. And I think that's why, whether your thing is prayer, right? Or if maybe, you're not somebody that's, getting on your knees to Jesus or some other religion, maybe it's mindfulness, because I think both of them help accomplish the same thing. Reading, taking that time out to focus on reading, for me, and I know you struggle with reading, and Audible works for you. I don't always have time to sit. During the day, lots of distractions. So getting on the bike and then putting a book in my ear is a big, big, big deal, because it's a moment to sort of step out. I'm working my body and I'm working my mind in a positive way.
Absolutely, for sure, big time. And that very, very true, right? So in addition to putting that good stuff in, hello, our friend Jordan Mendoza, who we've been working with lately, and he's a great guy to know. If you're looking to grow, leverage LinkedIn, talk to Jordan for sure. DM Jordan. Make sure you get on his calendar. He's a good resource. Yeah.
Network in those comments, people. If you're seeing somebody that you haven't met, this is a great. I saw you on the Master Connector show in the comments. Wanted to connect with you. There's the perfect opportunity. Connect with those folks. All right, Steve.
Absolutely.
So we were talking about equipping yourself. Yeah. I think somebody that could be watching the show is like, oh, that's all well and good, but I'm in the sugar honey iced tea. I'm in it, right? And I'm stressed. And
I want to just cover one more area on the equipping part, which is really, it's important. And I think because here's the thing, right? You're always going to have challenges. Challenges are going to come always. Obstacles are going to come always. The stronger, the more equipped you are, the better you're going to handle the next one. And it's going to help you get through this, maybe, but it's certainly the next one. So meditation, you kind of touched on that. Self-talk, making sure you've got to, I'm in the middle of rereading another book that I probably didn't have time to put up the visual on it, but it's called Soundtracks. Phenomenal book. I forgot, it's only recent since I listened to it, but making sure you're putting in that good stuff and the soundtracks of what our brain programs us to think or to say, right? It's like, oh man, I always forget names. Well, you're going to probably continue to forget names if you keep programming yourself through that soundtrack in your head that you forget names or whatever it happens to be, right? So making sure that you have good self-talk, and that you're, like, every morning, as part of my morning ritual, is I have a self-talk script that I've written out, and I've very purposely scripted, crafted it. Covers a lot of areas, spiritual, health, and so forth, right? Looks like Cameron's got the book up. Nice. Thank you, sir. John Acuff, I guess is how you pronounce his last name. But great book. Very worth getting for sure. Thank you for getting that very quickly, Cameron. Again, the Wizard of Oz there, But and then, having a gratitude list, super, super important, right? Because many times we have a tendency to kind of focus on what's wrong. But when I have a gratitude list, I have a list every day, three things I'm grateful for. And maybe there's some overlap and some repeats, but try to look for the things you're grateful for. That keeps your brain on the positive side of things, so you can continue to move forward. So there's many other things. I'm sure the audience, I'm very curious. We'd love to hear some of the best practices that the audience, the viewers here, are used to kind of equip themselves. Please put it in the comments, and then we'll put we'll give you a little shout out when we see them from you.
I love that. I love that, Stephen. I want to say it's a great segue, right? The power of gratitude, because we get so lost when they're in the moment, when we're in crisis mode. Seems like the sky is falling and we forget what we have. All of a sudden, anything that was in our plus column, we've just thrown it out because we're locked in this bad stuff is happening.
That's right.
The job loss, the death in the family, the health issue, the technical error, the computer breaks down, LinkedIn stops working, right? All of these challenges that pop up, and we suddenly throw out all of these good things. And I find time and time again, because it's something that you're watching this program right now, and that the power of gratitude is something that really works for you, but you haven't put it into daily practice. You aren't writing it down. You aren't looking in the mirror and putting that self-talk to action. Instead, you have that to-do list that ever grows longer, and that's what you're paying attention to, and you forget to go back and celebrate that win and let yourself know that you're amazing and that you've done a lot and you're going to continue to do more, but you've got wins. You got wins yesterday. You got wins this morning. You made the food for your kid. You made the bed. You did this. You did that, right? So count those wins. Such an important part, because that's that the stress eats away at you when you feel like you're not worthwhile and you're not getting those things done. All right. So
yeah, no, it's great. It's a great point. And
yeah,
and I, not to get again too spiritual religious, but there's a great scripture. It's counted all blessings, right? When bad things come, and I'm butchering the scripture, but look at the obstacles and the challenges as ways. They could be stepping stones, right? I had this learning disability that I lived with my whole life, and what that did for me is, yeah, it was tough, and I had terrible grades growing up, but you know what? It gave me the ability to be a creative thinker, to get around those things, right? So look at your obstacles and challenges, and yeah, they may seem daunting, but maybe that's going to be your biggest challenge will be your biggest win in life. Okay. Have that mindset of that. All right. So let's
breaking through with Stephanie. She says, I love this. Need to get back to my daily routine, which includes reading the Bible, prayer, meditation, and journaling. It's so important. Yeah. If you're not doing that daily check-in, if you're feeling stressed and you're feeling like, man, life is not fulfilling and satisfying, I think that's one of the easiest ways to go back to the drawing board and make sure that you're doing some of those basic things. Am I getting my physical activity in? Am I giving myself that positive self-talk? Am I talking about the wins? Love that, Stephanie. Thanks for sharing.
Absolutely. That's great, Stephanie. Awesome stuff. Absolutely. So let's get into some action steps, right? So the first thing we want to talk about is focus on the why. Right. It all starts with why. It's a great book by Simon Sinek. And, I think what happens is, unfortunately, is many times we, again, think about the obstacles, but if you make that why, thanks for putting that up there, Cameron, you make that why, the big thing, right? I wish I could do a visual here, but the way it was described to me was, if this object is your obstacles and the screen behind me is your why, well, the why, you look past this obstacle to the vision behind you. So make that why huge, so that most people do the exact opposite. That obstacle is huge and it blocks out what your why and your vision is. So make your why huge, right? Know what the why is, right? So start with why. Very, very important. Thanks for putting up the visual there. Unfortunately, a lot of people, they get paralyzed. And so here's what I'm going to tell you. It's a tip that I learned, and it's been extremely helpful for me. And that is, make sure you do this. Play out the scene. Play out the scene as far as, okay, what's the worst that can happen? And play it out. So let's say you're dealing with financial challenges. You could get bankrupt or whatnot, whatever. Okay, so what if that was to happen? What's the worst that could happen? Right? You start from scratch, whatever. So play that out, but just keep moving forward. Okay. Cam, you want to jump in here and take me off screen, because I think I'm a little blurred here. I gotta rescreen.
Yeah, sure. So I think this is something, and when Steve and I were preparing for this show, this idea of what's the worst that can happen, and in my mind, well, man, a lot bad can happen, right? And I think that if you really think through it, and a lot of times it's little baby steps, right? Things that we have to do. Maybe it's reaching out to somebody with the phone call. Maybe it's sending an email. Maybe it's jumping into a business opportunity, giving somebody some money for a service. If you walk through it, obviously you want to be critical. You want to do things in a smart way. But if you're sitting in that place of inaction, right, that's not going to help you, right, to make that decision and move on. And so practicing what Steve is talking about, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? I lose X amount of bucks. I've lost money over here. I've lost money over there. Why not take this chance? Which, going back to like money stuff and investing, that I definitely have used that with the money side of things because I missed out on opportunities. I had my students telling me in 2009, hey, this Bitcoin thing, and Bitcoin was like pennies or dollars or, $10, not what it is now. And they made incredible wealth just by picking up a few of these Bitcoins. I don't know how many. I mean, it's just crazy stuff. I know one of my students, he's traveling all over China, lives an incredible life. And think about what the play through the head was. What's the worst thing that can happen? I lose $50. I lose $100. I would spend that out in a moment for a lunch or dinner or whatever, right? And it wouldn't be a big deal. So I think if we think through these things and we use that and weigh the risk versus advantage, it's a big deal instead of being stuck and saying, oh, it's dangerous, right? Really thinking through that is a big deal. Great advice, Steve.
Yeah, no doubt. And then, another thing to do is make sure you control the controllables. Take action on what you can change, and don't worry about about any of the other stuff, right? There's so many. Look at that, Jordan jumping in. Action creates momentum, right? For sure, it does. And you just keep moving, right? Take action, right? Again, not being spiritual, but God doesn't steer a parked car. You got to keep moving. It's hard to steer something if you're static, right? You got to just keep moving. So, and then we want to get a little creative. There it goes. Action creates fears. There it goes. Thank you, Cameron. And
I love the piece of this. We were just going to show this action cures fear, but we've been talking about it. So the other side of this is right, like indecision, right? If you're sitting there in the indecision, what does that create? Well, that creates the fuel, right? That creates, a lot of blockage, and then it's stopping you from doing other things, right? And taking action on other things. So it's just a self propelling machine of terror and fear and lack of productivity. Such a big deal. And
no doubt.
Marjorie, thanks for jumping in here in the comments here. I echo everything that's been said. Gratitude, meditation, healthy mind, body, and soul. Connecting to others is key. Don't isolate, right? And we all struggle, right? And I think that's a big deal too, right? If you're struggling with something, don't be afraid to reach out to Steve. Don't be afraid to reach out to me. Got Jordan down here. I know he's a helpful guy. We've got several people. Stephanie in the comments. Oscar is a helpful guy. People that care about their nonprofits. Get to know people and reach out to people because everybody struggles. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I think, and just on that note, thank you, Marjorie, for that. But one of the things that I think was helpful during the pandemic was, for me, we had master networks, right? And again, whatever networking group you have, but we had some place where we can be a part of community and allow, and not be so isolated. And I agree with that. There's power by taking action and reaching out to someone and not just being in your own head. There's definitely major power from that as well. The other thing I kind of alluded to before, and that is why my learning disability was a good thing, but get creative, try other approaches, don't just, we know that the definition of insanity, right, which is doing the same thing over and over and over again. There he is. There's a crazy Einstein guy, right? But expecting different results. How many of us are guilty of that, right? Just keep trying the same thing, right? Well, why not try different approaches, right? Whether you're in the sales world, right? If you're in sales or business development, maybe you're trying to reach a certain decision maker. Okay, well, maybe I love the movie. I probably could have told you about this. You could put it up there, Cameron. But the movie, The Pursuit of Happiness. He's trying to get a job as a stockbroker. And what did he do? He did everything but, right? He knew back in the day, this is for Indeed and posting your job, applying for jobs on LinkedIn. But he knew if his resume was on a pile, he had no shot. The guy was definitely not in the bell curve, right, so to speak. He was not like 22-year-old Ivy League kind of guy. He was definitely not in that bell curve. Let's just keep it like that. But what did he do? He got out of the box. He jumped in the cab with the guy and he did the Rubik's Cube. And if you watch the movie, you'll see what I mean. And showed up at the football game and showed up at the guy's doorstep, right? So he did different things to get around that obstacle. And of course, if you watch the movie, look at that. It looks like Cameron had found the image. Great movie. But talk about obstacles. The guy was homeless. He was living, he had his kid in the bathroom at I think it was like the train station,
Heartbreaking scene.
locking the
Yeah,
door with his
heartbreaking
foot.
scene. And it's The Pursuit of Happiness by Chris Gardner. You can pick up that book as well.
Yeah.
And just an amazing thing. Obviously the book's going to go a little faster, and you got the fabulous Will Smith starring the movie, and with his actual son in the movie playing with him, Jaden Smith.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a heartbreaking scene.
Heart-wrenching.
Movie. Yeah,
heart-wrenching. But the great news is he got over it because he was a little bit creative. He tried different approaches. He didn't just, okay, I'm going to keep applying on LinkedIn and Indeed. No, he tried other things. I've told people before, why not show up at the company? Like, I know that was hard during COVID, but show up at the company. Maybe find out who the decision maker is. Here's an approach. You ready? You're going to probably think this is crazy, but I don't think anyone, I've challenged people. I don't think anyone's taken me up on this. Why not find out the decision maker, especially if you're looking to get into business development or something? Find out the decision maker, who it is, and go there with a manila envelope with your resume in it, and tell the gatekeeper, I'm here to see John Smith, whatever their name is. I need to give him something. Almost like you're there to serve paper, to serve for legal purposes. And you hand them the envelope. You say, I know this is a little unconventional, and I appreciate it. If you have a couple minutes, I knew if I just applied online or just sent a resume, it wouldn't get anywhere. I wanted to give this to you personally. You'll be surprised. It takes, anything out of the box is going to get you to stand out from the crowd. And again, it's not about just job interview stuff, but it's just a different approach to get you to get through or around or over your obstacles or challenges.
I love that thinking outside of the box. I was actually driving in the car the other day, and I had for folks that are into hip hop and know Craig Mack and Notorious B.I.G., but one of the things that sort of cemented Sean Puff Daddy Combs, P. Diddy, however you know him, as kind of like a marketing genius is when you put these two artists together, you send out a package that said Big Mac on it, because he had the artists Notorious Big and Craig Mack, and so he sent out this Big Mac. And just thinking outside the box like that, and it just reminded me of that with the story of like bringing your resume in. If you do things, if you're trying to get someplace, doing something that nobody else is going to do, and I think especially during the pandemic, to show up in a place and say I was there is a big deal, right? Showing up is such a big deal. Are you showing up? Jordan and I, we were in class with Steve, and we were talking about, I was sharing somebody's post, and that person didn't even show up in the post that I was sharing. And it speaks volumes when people don't show up, right? And so are you showing up? Are you showing up in social media when people are trying to help you there? And I've seen it time and time again. You got somebody that's, looking for work, and, who knows? I don't know what obstacles they're dealing with. I don't know what challenges they're dealing with, but are they seeking out the help? Are they living in gratitude? Are they acknowledging and respecting the people that are trying to help them? I guarantee you, if you're not letting people help you, you're going to create more challenges. And, not to beat a dead horse, we talk about this book a lot, but our man Bob Berg and John David Mann wrote an amazing book called The Go-Giver. And one of the rules in that book is just making yourself open to opportunity. And so if you shut off yourself from opportunity, and I'm sure you've known somebody, maybe you are that person, right? If you shut yourself out from opportunity, that opportunity has no way to come. I was talking to the nonprofit I work with, and I'm like, hey, we gotta figure out how to open our doors to the people that want to help us, because right now we have a problem, and I understand we have limited hands and limited money, and it's hard to work with volunteers, but there's people that want to help with us, and we're losing opportunity because we're not open to it. We haven't figured out how to accept what people are willing to give.
Yeah, absolutely. Big time. Good point. So I want to talk a little bit about, listen, one thing is talking about stuff, but then putting a plan in action and executing it one step at a time, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Pasquale Colombo, our friend, likes to use that in his sound bites all the time.
Yeah, of course. So definitely make sure you're focusing on little bite-sized pieces, right? Have a daily goals, right? Maybe even have hourly goals, right? Don't try to look at this so macro, look at it micro, break it down, and then work it little piece at a time. Okay. And then, the one other thing I want to talk about is, a lot of times we become what we think about, right? So I'm re-listening to a book called The Strangest Secret. Actually, I just finished it. And now I went on to the soundtracks book, but we become what we think about, right? And so kind of replacing those negative thoughts, we kind of talked a little bit about that earlier, with positive ones, right? And again, what you think about, you become, right? What you focus on, you're going to become, right? I know there's other books, there's The Secret, right? And obviously Think and Grow Rich speaks about the law of attraction, all those things, right? It's all relevant. Now, I know Darren Hardy in the book, the Compound Effect, speaks about it. He puts it in kind of a little bit more of a kind of a layman's terms that don't sound so woo-woo. He talks about, listen, when you get a brand new car, all of a sudden you're noticing the same model everywhere you are, right? Why? Because you're just more aware of it. And that's kind of what the law of attraction, but you tend to pull a lot of things to you because you think about it. So just be very aware of that, and go back. That book is super short. The audio book is probably 45 minutes at the most, so worth a listen. The book, The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. And then last thing I'll just say is have faith and believe, and act as if it's impossible to fail. Take action. Action cures fears, like we talked about before. Have faith, right? Faith is an action verb. You gotta have faith. You gotta believe, because if you believe, you'll believe with a certain type of confidence, and you won't quit. There you go. We come up, we think about. Thank you, Earl Nightingale. Perfect. Absolutely. So that is really. I mean, honestly, if you're going through stuff, message Cameron and I. Make sure if you go to our homepage, ring the bell. There's a little bell on the top right bar. What that means is it makes sure you anything we're doing, you're going to get notified that we're doing it, whether it's posts, whether it's shows. We also have now a Master Connector show, masterconnector.show website. So if you want to go there, we're starting to post the shows, so it's going to be easier to find the shows. In fact, today's live link was posted on that website. So get in the habit of going to masterconnector.show to find it. We're also, as Cameron's going to start talking, he talked a little bit about earlier, we'll be doing a workshop in June. If you're interested, I think Cameron mentioned it, right? We want to reward you if you're going to be the early adopters here. So we're going to reward you financially. So if you're interested, direct message me with, at the hashtag workshop. Yep. And we'll definitely put you on the roster, and it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a 2-day affair. We're going to have a great time speaking about a lot of great topics, but definitely appreciate everybody here. And I know we're wrapping up here. So Cameron, you want to?
Yeah, I want to shout out Miss Lane here. I'm blown away. Been trying to get hired at MasterCard for well over a year. We'll use this method. She was referring to, this example of bringing the resume to the decision maker. I want to shout you out, Miss Lane, because if you put stuff out there, right, you will get it, right? And so I know people at MasterCard. I used to work in the MasterCard building over in Purchase, New York. I'm not sure which facility, place you're trying to get in, but I know a few people. I'm connected to a few people at MasterCard, and I guarantee you, I bet you there's some other people, including the Master Connector himself right here, that is probably connected to a few people at MasterCard. So reach out to those people Steve and I, and right, a lot of times not what you know, it's who you know, right? We love the Trevor Houston show, who you know, right? Reach out to people, let people know your intention, let them know, hey, do you know anybody? What's the worst thing they're going to say? No, I don't know anybody at MasterCard. What's the best thing they say? Of course I know somebody at MasterCard. What are you looking for, right? And you got to do it. And Aiden Hand checking in. You got to have faith. Yeah, he's our musical interlude. Steve, let's let them know what they need to go out and do this week. Oh, you're on mute.
Muted. Okay. What I want to do, before we do that, I want to just say we have a show next week. We're back again Wednesdays. The next show is going to be on connecting authentically, right, Cameron? If I'm not mistaken.
Indeed.
So it's going to be a great show. I think it's so relevant in today's world where we're dealing with a lot of screen time and people putting up barriers, not wanting to take calls, not wanting to if people delete messages, what's going to have you stand out? And we're going to cover that next week and allow you to really connect authentically, where people want to lean into you and they want to know about you, know about what you're doing. They want to maybe potentially work with you or create business relationships or whatever. So definitely tune in with us. But yeah, like you said, Cameron,
we're going to opportunity, right, for folks, if they're in the middle of show topic is coming in, get those questions early. You're thinking about, oh, wow, I like how Steve connects authentically. I feel like he's an authentic person. I feel like Cameron's connecting authentically. Ask those questions, and not just to us, but to other people, right? Ask those questions. Hey, how do you do that? What's involved with that? What do you do? And you'll get some interesting answers. I know that both Steve and I, this is something that we work on, because it's, the balance of, like, you feel like, well, you got to be professional and you got to be, you got to be the hero of your story. You don't want to be the victim. And so there's a way to go about it, a way to tell your story and to connect with people and to help people out through that story. So ask those questions, get those questions in. All right, Steve, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. We want to be the light this week. So let's make sure we're sharing a light, being a light, and inspiring uplift. So we're going to end it like we always do with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Crush it. Go out there and crush it. DM Steve if you're interested in this workshop in June. Hashtag workshop. Get into the DMs. No commitments. Just hey, we're interested in this workshop. We'll reward you. We'll send you some free stuff. We'll make sure that you get the best of deals coming down the pipeline. Lots more details to follow. We're excited. Thank you for being a part of our community. As always, you make this show awesome by being the audience. See you next week on Wednesday at 1:00. Majority says thank you. And then Miss Lane says purchase. There you go. I know I've been in the building. I know people. Hit me up, Miss Lane. Take care, everybody. Have an amazing, amazing week. Go out there and crush it.